No one in Japan that afternoon realized they were walking in the middle of history. The Tokyo sky turns a golden-orange gradient. The sun begins to sink behind futuristic buildings, and the cold winter wind carries the characteristic scent of Shibuya streets. Locals are busy with their routines. Tourists are crammed into each other at the world's most famous zebra crossing, and neon lights are lit up one by one. Unbeknownst to anyone, however, two figures who for years were the center of global attention were leisurely strolling through the crowd: Taehyung and Jungkook, two names that together would have been enough to rock the entire internet. Both walked unhurriedly, not wearing glamorous clothes, not accompanied by staff or bodyguards as usual. Just two young men who wanted to enjoy the afternoon, as if the world was not waiting for their every move. Taehyung wears a beige long coat that makes him look like the main character of a Japanese drama, while Jungkook wears a black hoodie and beanie that slightly covers his face. They blend in with the crowd, yet at the same time exude such a different aura. So calm, so peaceful, so them. No official cameras, no lighting, no stage. But the moment felt more real than anything ever shown before the public. They walk side by side, sometimes throwing small jokes at each other, sometimes just falling silent while enjoying the sounds of city life. Taehyung occasionally looks to the left as if watching a small dog pass by, while Jungkook laughs softly whenever Taehyung says something absurd. They weren't superstars that day. They are not global icons. They're just two best friends who again feel what it means to breathe without pressure. A simple moment that is actually almost invisible to those around. But if you look closely, there is an emotional spark that has been lost from public view. Over the years, busy schedules, pressure, rumors, as well as the distance created due to work, made fans wonder, is their relationship still the same? Will they still be able to sit together and joke carefree? That afternoon was the answer. At the Shibuya crossing, as thousands of people move together, the two walk in the middle as if time is slowing down. Taehyung looked up at the sky and said something that made Jungkook pause. Jungkook's face changed, a mix of surprise, touched, and slightly emotional. Taehyung then gently patted Jungkook on the shoulder, as if erasing the heavy shadow that had probably been settling. No one knew what they were talking about, but the expression was enough to make anyone understand that this was not just an ordinary walk. This is healing. They then entered a small alley filled with red lanterns. The aroma of ramen and yakitori greeted them, and without hesitation, they sat in a small tavern that only fits 6 people. The owner of the tavern, an old man who didn't recognize who they were, served a hot meal and asked, "You're from Korea, right? Vacation?" Taehyung just smiled. Jungkook nodded a little. No shouting, no fuss, just quiet conversation in such a simple place. They eat with gusto, comment on the taste of the soup, joke about who pays first, and once again, the world feels far away from them. After eating, the two continued on their way to a small garden lit by soft yellow lights. Children run around, couples hold hands, and the voices of small birds are faintly heard. Taehyung sits on a bench and Jungkook stand while photographing the scene in front of them. But seconds later, Jungkook turns around, photographs Taehyung without permission, then laughs as Taehyung protests with his trademark annoyed face. Those little moments, like Taehyung wagging his hair while saying, "Well, send me the picture later," are so human and warm. In the silence of the afternoon, something seemed to flow between them. Not a drama, not a rumor, not a sensation. Just honesty. Only the fact that although the world is changing, although their burden is getting bigger, although rumors and conflicts continue to appear, the thread that binds the two still remains the same. A thread that may have once thinned due to distance, but never broken. They walked back towards the station, laughing softly when someone almost recognized them, but hesitated because their appearance was too simple. As they stand on the escalator, Taehyung leans slightly toward the wall, while Jungkook stares at his phone screen. But when the train arrived and the doors opened, the two men looked at each other, as if assuring each other, will this little trip be enough? Are they ready to face the world again? The answer is not spoken, but it is clearly visible in their eyes. Taehyung and Jungkook then get into the train, standing side by side, surrounded by Japanese people who don't recognize them. The light of the train reflected warmth on their faces, and in that moment, all the pressure, all the rumors, all the conflicts seemed to stop. What remains are just two people who have been through so much together, rediscovering the little bits of happiness that may have been lost amid the hustle and bustle of life as global superstars. As the train rushes towards its next destination, the twilight outside the window fades to a dark purple, and the afternoon ends like a beautiful little secret, an unplanned, unregulated, and unexpected secret. Just happened. Only real. Only theirs. And for anyone who understands the meaning of both in BTS's long journey, that simple afternoon wasn't just a walk. It was a sign that they were still there, together, laughing, and finding peace in a world that never gave them time to stop. But when the train began to slow down towards the next stop, something unexpected happened. Some young passengers who had just entered had noticed the figures of Taehyung and Jungkook, but it took a few seconds for them to be completely sure of what they saw. One of them stared longer, his eyes widening, then hurriedly turned to his friend as if to make sure that he was not hallucinating. Jungkook looked at it out of the corner of his eye, then lowered his head with a small smile, a smile that could only appear when he resigned but still felt warm. Taehyung came to his senses faster. He touched Jungkook's arm briefly, not panicking, only signaling, "Take it easy." The amazing thing is, although they're almost recognizable, there is no panic. There is no sense of haste. Taehyung stood still, staring out the window at the train that swept through the shadows of the city lights, while Jungkook turned slightly to make his face less visible. The train went on, but the little atmosphere brought a new, inexplicable intimacy. Even when some passengers began to whisper quietly, no one approached. All kept their distance, as if feeling that the moment of peace was too sacred to be disturbed. When they finally got off at a quieter station, the sky had already turned into a night full of neon lights. The air became colder, but their pace remained relaxed. Taehyung puts his hand in his coat pocket, while Jungkook fixes his beanie. They walked out of the station, down a sidewalk filled with small stalls selling takoyaki, mochi, and hot milk tea. Jungkook became interested in the display of the gashapon machine, and without thinking he inserted a coin and turned the lever. A click sound is heard, a small capsule falls, and he laughs like a child at the sight of a random toy he gets. Taehyung shook his head with a smile, then tried it. When the capsule opened, he looked at its contents with a satisfied look, a small figure in the shape of a Shiba dog. "This is so funny," he said as he showed it to Jungkook. Jungkook looked at her for a long time before finally saying, "That suits you very well." Taehyung smiled faintly, a smile that only appeared when he was truly touched. They continued on their way, but this time their steps were slower, as if they didn't want the night to end too soon. At one corner of the street, they stopped because Taehyung wants to take a photo of the city lights bouncing in a small puddle on the sidewalk. Jungkook stood slightly behind her, watching how Taehyung captured the world in the camera frame with a calmness he never showed on stage. And as Taehyung turned his head involuntarily, their eyes met in the glare of the bouncing neon lights. There's something unsaid, gratitude, a sense of relief, a sense of mutual understanding without the need to explain anything. The night was not just a two-person trip in Japan. It was a reminder that behind the grandiose stage, behind the endless rumors, behind the millions of expectations of the world, they remain human. They remain two souls who find each other room to breathe, even though the world keeps spinning busily around them.